good morning, and welcome, fans, to show number 10.
9.
Number 9. It's show number 9.
Off to an incredible start.
You know what? It even says number 9 on my... No, it doesn't. You know what? That international show was so big, I'm counting it as 2.
Yeah, well, I'm not, and I named the episode. So, it's number 9.
Episode number 9. Welcome to the Midwest Donut Review Show. I'm Dave Leggett in St. Louis. That is my son, Eric Leggett, and he is in Sacramento, California, where it's starting to cool off a bit, I hear.
Sure. It's the time of the year where we'll get, like, hints of it. Where the weather will start just sprinkling, like, a couple days here where it's, like, high 70s for a couple days, and then you're back up to 90. So we're not fully in fall yet, but they're giving us a little taste.
Here's my Sacramento story from yesterday's article. The Oakland A's are going to be playing in Sacramento for the next 3 years, starting in 2025, at the AAA ballpark that holds about 14,000 people.
Yeah.
And I read yesterday they are replacing the grass with AstroTurf because now 2 teams will be playing there all the time and the grass would never survive.
Yeah.
And so they're estimating that by installing AstroTurf, it will raise the on-field temperature by at least 15 degrees every game.
Ooh.
So
yeah, that wouldn't really matter when you're in Oakland, 'cause it's pretty fucking cool over there.
Yes. All right, so you know what else is hot? The Midwest Donut Review Show. And today, for the first time maybe ever, you and I have the exact same 3 donuts.
We've definitely had the same 3 donuts before, but this is the first time where we've, like, discussed what donuts we want to get, and we've both...
And they had them.
Yeah, and they had them.
All right, so quick recap of what we do here. Eric and I both try to buy the same flavor of donuts, him out west, me in the Midwest, and then we compare and contrast, tell you how big they are, how much they cost, what shop we were at today, and so show number 9 kicks off, and as we do now, our donut news of the week. Eric, what do you have new for us today?
Okay, so this comes from Cleveland, Ohio. Great Lakes Brewing Co.'s upcoming hop college class will feature a beer and donut pairing with brew nuts. Now, only 2 90-minute sessions are available at 6 and 8 p.m. Thursday, September 26th. That's it. They're only doing this twice.
So there's a possibility that our fans can see this show before that hits and can sign up and let us know how the Brew Nuts classes have gone, and then they can comment back on at the end of our show and say, yeah, it was awesome, here's what they did.
So they tell us in this article the pairings. And something that I am a little frustrated with these pairings is that these aren't, for the most part, your standard donuts, which I'm a little upset about, because what if I want to do this at home? What if I want to know what beer goes best with just like a plain glazed donut?
Okay.
I don't have that option.
I'm seeing the yeast in beer and the yeast in donuts to give it a similar profile. And there certainly are beers that have a sweet component to them.
Yeah.
Like donuts. And, of course, donuts can be savory also.
So
does it say specifically what the beers and or the flavors are?
Yes. Let's play a game. I don't know how well you're going to do at this, considering... I'll start with the super easy one, and then we'll get noticeably more difficult. Because these are not, like, standard everyday donuts. I'm going to give you the beer,
Okay.
And then you try to guess what donut they've paired with it. So the super easy one, I'll go with the beer is their Oktoberfest beer. What kind of donut?
Pumpkin donut.
Pumpkin spice latte donut.
Oh, okay. A little frou-frou.
A little frou-frou.
With the latte, but okay.
Okay. It's going to get a little more difficult now. Because I need you to remember, these are not your standard everyday donuts.
Okay.
These are pretty frou-frou.
Okay.
The beer, Cold Rush Premium Light Lager.
A light lager. I would say that will pair with some sort of frou-frou chocolate donut.
Not exactly. The donut they've paired with this is a dulce de leche glaze with shortbread crumble.
Okay, caramel instead of chocolate.
Yeah.
Does it say where they're getting the donuts from? Is there a shop providing them? Does it say?
I believe it is
That would be
Brunuts.
is the name of the donut place in Cleveland.
Yes, they are.
Okay.
They are a donut and beer place.
Oh. Okay. All
And
right. I'm
it
surprised
seems-
it hasn't come up on my crazy donut list.
Well, it's like a pairing thing. It's like a donut and
Okay.
fried chicken kind of place, except
Okay.
drinks.
So what's the next beer flavor?
Okay, the next beer flavor is Nosferatu Double Red IPA.
A double red IPA. That sounds like it would go with a fruit donut. So I'm going to say like a raspberry cream cake.
Not close. They have a donut with a marshmallow glaze with a chai drizzle. Yeah, I don't know about that.
As soon as you do marshmallow, the donut disappears.
Yeah.
Especially a lot of it. Like if you're doing a s'mores donut and there's a couple of charred marshmallows on the top, that's one thing. But to just
A marshmallow glaze, like,
Woo!
that's your whole
That's
donut
it.
right there.
yeah.
Okay, and the last one, you're definitely never going to get. And it's a ridiculous donut.
Okay, you just tell me.
Okay, the beer is cran orange wheat,
Cran orange wheat.
and
okay.
the donut is French vanilla glaze with Sour Patch Kids and vanilla Oreos.
That sounds so gross. I don't care what you're drinking with it.
Yeah,
That's going to be a gross combination.
that's just awful. I didn't know children were allowed to drink beer in Cleveland. Because that's who gets that kind of donut.
Yeah. Could you imagine the adult going in there and asking for that? Well,
Yes, they have the Sour Patch Kids donut. Come on, man.
That's terrible.
Yeah, that's not good.
All right. Well, now our fans know if you're in Cleveland, you got to check it out. Let us know if it's as ridiculous as it sounds. Not saying we wouldn't try it, but all right. So our next part of our crazy show here, we found some outrageous donuts in America. Well, actually in North America today. In Scottsdale, Arizona, where you could just drive over to and check this out for us on one of the future shows. not.
No.
They have a brown butter and sea salt cake donut.
That sounds really good.
If you're doing brown butter, you're taking the extra step. You know what I mean? I mean that's a little chef driven. They also have sriracha with cinnamon and red pepper flakes, which sounds super spicy.
Yeah, it does.
And the cinnamon kind of cooling it off, but not with sriracha and red pepper flakes. And then they also, on the weekends only, because this is a mamba jamba, creme brulee. They have a house-made vanilla custard inside their brioche donut, and then they do a hard sugar shell on the donut. That sounds like you should go to Chin Up in Scottsdale, Arizona, next chance you get, if you're close. Next stop, Houston, Texas. It's called Dough Cone. Can you take a handle what you think they do at the Dough Cone joint in Houston?
Do they put donuts, like you have an ice cream cone, and you put donuts on top of it and then the ice cream?
No. They use the donut as the cone. They
What?
handmade donut cone, and they dust it with cinnamon sugar, and then they line it with Nutella inside, and then it is filled with their own homemade ice cream. It's actually a baked donut, not a fried donut cone. It is similar to something called a chimney cake, which is a popular Hungarian street food. And then they have 20 or 30 toppings, and so you can go as outrageous as you want. So
that sounds pretty fucking good.
Instead of ice cream cone, dough cone. And it's a food truck in Houston, Texas. Finally, going north of the border in Vancouver, a place called Cartems, Cartems. This is a frou-frou donut joint. I didn't look at prices, but I'll tell you the ingredients. The first one they have is an Earl Grey. The cake is infused with the Earl Grey tea, and then it is glazed with the tea icing, and they put rose petals, edible rose petals, on the top. Oh, that qualifies as frou-frou.
Yeah.
They also do a blueberry lavender. They do a white chocolate berry, a rose wine donut.
Whoa.
With red wine in the dough.
Damn.
They have honey parmesan, which I think is a really interesting combination, and pistachio. The pistachio donuts look great, and they also do a bunch of vegan choices. So that is Cartems. If you find yourself in Vancouver, check it out. Let us know how it is. It sounds super frou-frou. So what we do on the show, we do 3 donuts. The first donut up today, glazed donut, as always. If you can't do a glazed donut right,
Close up shop, baby.
close up the shop. So where have you gone? Tell us a little bit of background about your glazed donut. Tell us how it tastes.
So I went to Baker's Donuts, 5880 Florin Road here in Sacramento. And this is just a really cute little place. They have a really good variety. Like, you wouldn't expect it. It's a pretty small place, and you would not expect the kind of variety they have. Because they have that thing where, like Dunkin' Donuts, you walk in, they don't really have the case. They have all those donuts in the back, and they grab them from there. So they have that, but they also have a case full of, like, fancy and decadent kind of donuts, too. So they have your standards, just glaze, old-fashioned, crullers, whatever. And they also have some fancier, a little more frou-frou options. Plus, this place has a drive-thru. When's the last time you see a donut place that wasn't Krispy Kreme with a drive-thru?
We actually do have some mom and pops here in St. Louis with drive-thru. They're not chain.
I think that's awesome. I love a drive-thru for a local donut place. So yeah, Baker's Donuts. And this glazed donut was awesome. It was such a good sweet glaze. And it didn't crumble off the donut while you're eating it. I think that's the best thing a glaze can do, is stay on the donut while you're eating it. It was a really nice dough. I think it was a good mix of density and lightness. It wasn't like the kind of thing where you just like put your finger in the donut and it just kind of disappears. There had a little more mass to it, but it definitely wasn't.
Sorry. What is the technique for that again?
If it's super light, I'm not showing you. You freak. Imagine it in your head.
I am. It's
disgusting. Talking about donuts.
Oh. Sorry. So the technique, you're saying, absolutely works at this joint.
I'd say it is the best of both worlds, because it doesn't get lost in there. It's not so light and fluffy where it's like, if I'm going to feel anything with this donut, I need to take down like 3 or 4. It was still dense enough to be like a good hearty donut, but still light enough that like the glaze mixed really well, because with how sweet it was and how light it wasn't a super thick glaze either. This was a super, super solid glazed donut. I think I want to give this one a 4.1.
Wow, that you don't throw out the 4 numbers very often, my friend.
Yeah, it was 3 3/4 inches, which is a good size. It was a thick donut, pretty tall. And all my donuts today were $1.60, which again is not bad at all.
No, your prices are very close to what we're seeing back here in the Midwest.
Yeah,
this
was
that.
This was an excellent glazed donut. 4.1 is my score.
Okay. I ventured down to JMC Donuts. They're at 8624 Natural Bridge in St. Louis. And all of my donuts were $1.45 today. If you buy 6, it goes down to $1.35, and if you buy a dozen, it goes down to $1.25.
Damn.
Super big cardinal mistake. Today I bought 10 donuts. If I'd have bought 2 more donuts, it would have been cheaper. So I have other things I'm thinking about, I guess. I'll darn it. But we do still have 10 donuts in the house, so there's no downside to that. So kicking off, it's a tiny little shop, but similar to yours. Tons of choices when you get up close to the case. Mm-hmm. And I will say this, you and I have gone back and forth a little bit. This may have been the biggest cinnamon roll I've seen in a donut place. It was gargantuan, and it took every bit of my willpower to not get one. It was easily equal to 2 or 3 donuts. I mean, it was if this wasn't 8 or 9 inches across, I would be shocked.
Wow.
So at some point, I think we'll add something to the show where, like, we go into a donut place and get our 3, but then we get the most outrageous donut they have. And if we were doing that already, I'd have had a cinnamon roll from JMC today to see what it's all about. But sticking to our plan, the glazed donut today. It is 4 inches around. It is 1 3/4 inches tall. $1.45. The glaze, it's a really good glaze. So last show was my best glazed donut ever. Mm-hmm. Super hard to live up to that back to back. This is a really good glaze. Not as good as last week. Really good glaze. Again, not crumbly. I like keeping that glaze on where it doesn't just fall all over your mouth and all over the plate or the table or the floor if you're standing up eating, watching TV, which no one ever does.
No.
And it is a very tall donut, but it is not as light as I expected. It is a little thicker dough. I really like a glazed donut that disappears when you bite it, where it just melts. And this is a little chewy. Chewy, not in a bad way, but for my personal taste, I like the melt in your mouth glazed glazed yeast donut. And so I'm going to still give it a 3.8 because it's a very good glazed donut. If you go into this place and just get the glazed donut, you'll be very happy at JMC Donuts. So, our second donut up today, Eric, as you help yourself with a little milk, one of the number one chosen drink for a donut.
Of course. You drinking real milk today? Or you a little baby milk?
Well, I don't have access to baby milk because that would be weird. But
milk for the metaphorical baby. That's what all.
And yeah, man, I'm drinking almond milk, baby. Digging that vanilla almond milk. Delicious.
Oh my God, that's awful.
You know how hard you got to squeeze an almond to get milk out of it? Oh my God, those people work hard. Anyway,
moving on.
We have found a second donut today.
Yes, we have a chocolate old fashioned. And my chocolate old fashioned was really good again. So far, Baker's Donuts doing some good work over there. The one thing that I really liked about this donut is there was no glaze on it. sometimes they'll glaze the old-fashioned and then put the chocolate frosting over it. And I just think in a lot of cases, that's too much. It usually is too much for the donut to handle. Mixing with a sweet glaze and a strong chocolate flavor, especially with an old-fashioned, with how thick that dough can be, it's usually too much. So I'm very glad they didn't do that with this. It was a plain cake old-fashioned, chocolate frosting on it. That's it. It was a really good chocolate frosting too. Again, we talk about frostings that are more sweet than they are the actual flavor they're supposed to be. And this definitely was not it at all. It was a really good chocolate. It was almost like they just like melted down a chocolate bar and threw it on a donut.
Wow.
Really good chocolate.
Yeah, that's a great combo.
The one hit to this donut is it was a little too crispy for me. I don't love crunching on a donut. I know old fashions kind of lend themselves to that. If you leave them in there just a little bit too long, they can definitely get a little too hard. And I think that was the case with this one. The outside crown edges definitely were a little too crispy for me. But other than that, the cake also had just a really good flavor by itself. And it was really good mixed with the chocolate frosting. Again, I'm glad they didn't put any glaze on it because I think it just would have been too much. This was a really good chocolate old-fashioned. I think I'm going to give this one a 3.9.
Wow, you are out of the gates with two big fat numbers here, my friend.
Yeah, Baker's Donuts has really killed it so far.
Found the magic. Okay, so my second also, the chocolate old-fashioned. No glaze, just the chocolate icing, as you alluded to. So you can really tell, can you do the cake right? Can you do the icing right? There's no glaze to interfere with what's going on. The cake, I will say, a little dry. Just the cake by itself, from underneath, with no chocolate icing, a little dry. And we talked about the chocolate glaze, the chocolate icing. This is too sweet. It lends itself. They make that mistake of going to the sugary sweet and less of the chocolate flavor. If you closed your eyes, you'd have a really hard time figuring out that this was chocolate icing. It's straight up not vanilla, but it's just it's not a great icing. And because there's nooks and crannies in the old fashioned, they got that icing everywhere. So it's really heavy. Again, if that was a great icing, a great fudgy, chocolatey icing, then it would be a positive for the donut. But it's too much of an okay icing, too much, and it takes away from the whole thing. So, and old fashions, it's my Jones right now. I dig the old fashioned, but this is a 3.1. That's really a hard score for me because, man, old-fashioned ought to be a 3.5 right out of the gate and go up from there.
There are definitely good aspects to that. I feel like if you had they're on the right track, I think. If they had a better frosting, I think that really helps the donut because they really put it on there. And I know at the Donut Palace, whenever we did chocolate old-fashions, we would really just do it in the ring, in that crown. We wouldn't really coat the donut with it. Granted, we did also glaze them and put the chocolate, so I think that was the good mix. Okay. But so I think if it was a good frosting and they, covered it with it, I think it would have been a better donut.
Completely agree. So on to our third donut, and we just got the glazed cruller.
Glazed cruller. Baker's Donuts, you're doing it, man. Baker's Donuts is a spot. This was a fucking awesome cruller. First bite, you get that custard flavor. And it was so good. It was such a good flavor. And again, the glaze was not too sweet. It wasn't too thick on there. What I do like with the crullers is when you put enough glaze on it, you can see that it's gone down like those curved rings. It formed a little like hardened little like ball at the bottom. And that was all over this donut, which I love. Also a super, super light donut, which again, I think is perfect for a cruller because it has such a strong, distinct flavor. You don't want something that flavor super thick. So it's a super sweet glaze, a really good custard flavor right off the gate. Yeah, I'm very happy with this cruller. I think this is how crullers should just be. This should be the standard. So I want to give this one like a 4.5.
Wow. That is the highest score for any donut in our 9 or 10 show history.
Yeah, 4.5. I am 100% confident in that. Go to Baker's Donuts. Wow. Get yourself a glazed cruller. Get yourself a dozen of them. Dozen glazed crullers.
And you only need one friend to be able to finish that box.
I don't even think you need the friend. Find yourself a dark room and go to town on those things, man.
Oh, you'll be in a dark room after a dozen. That's for sure. Woo! All right, so my glazed cruller. This is JMC Donuts' best donut today.
Hell yeah.
It is an outstanding cruller. Really love the cruller. Great glaze. Well done. Down in the nooks and crannies, but not sickeningly so.
Yeah.
Really well done. It's very eggy, very custardy, very light.
I love it when it's not wet. Sometimes custard and crullers, it can feel almost like wet when you eat it.
Yes.
And when it's not wet and it's how a donut should feel in your mouth, and you get that really good custard flavor.
I am getting that today. Today, this cruller is a 4.1. I'm giving it a 4.1. Light,
very good score.
Airy, eggy, custardy, great glaze, fried well. Great way for JMC to end their portion of the show today. So this may be your favorite donut place so far.
I think
every show we've done.
Yeah, I think this is the highest rated. Get yourself down to Baker's Donuts in Sacramento.
So here's my question. If you had to guess, how many more shops do you have in Sacramento that you have not done for the show?
Oh, I actually made a list the other day. There were probably like 10 or 12 on that list.
Okay. I easily have
and there
12 or 15.
Yeah, and that list I made didn't have any of like the obvious ones either. It was ones maybe like a little farther away on the outskirts where usually what I had done previously is I just go to Google Maps around where I live and just search donuts and then it pops up all the donut shops around me and then I just pick one from there. But I like went in and maybe on the more outskirts of where I live, maybe in Natomas or Elk Grove or maybe a little closer to Rockland. I listed all those places, and that list that I made doesn't have, the obvious Sacramento shops that are much closer to me too. So I probably have maybe around like 15, 18 shops just off the top of my head.
Okay. So here is my question. What is the farthest that you will drive for a donut shop for our show?
Well,
will you drive an hour one way?
An hour one way. If I get enough recommendations for it, yes.
Okay, all right.
I don't think I would go and look for something like that for myself. But if someone was like, if multiple people were like, man, you gotta check this place out, I think I'd do it.
Okay. So I only asked because when I was doing my search specifically for the chocolate old-fashioned donuts, one of the places was 49 minutes away. And so I was like, that's about 2 hours. Not there yet.
No.
But
if I'm going to drive that far,
in the future.
If I'm going to drive that far, especially with how fucking expensive gas is over here, I got to know I'm getting a pretty good donut. Like, I don't want to drive 2 hours round trip and give a glazed donut like a 3.2. That would be so upsetting.
Or a Zachanthos cake.
Oh, my. Don't even put that in my head, man. That's a nightmare.
All right. To wrap up today's show, it is trivia time.
Yes. I shit the bed hard last week.
I don't know that today... No, today you're going to come through.
All right.
I've got 3 donuts from around the world. The first one, it is similar to a beignet. It is a drop donut.
Okay.
And they usually have it with raisins and currants. You know, sort of a fruit jelly.
Okay.
Okay? It's called an Oliebollen.
Oliebollen. And it's like a beignet.
Mm-hmm.
And they have it with raisins.
Yes.
Oliebollen. So it's European.
Yes.
Turkey.
Netherlands.
Damn it.
Oliebollen. All right. Next up, this donut was invented because the benuelos became too expensive with its ingredients. So this donut is now substituted. They use squash and sweet potato, and it is coated in molasses.
Oh my God.
It's called picarones.
Picarones. That sounds decadent. To coat something in molasses is...
But it's made with the cheaper ingredients.
Yeah.
Because the people couldn't afford the benuelos anymore.
So I'm gonna guess South America.
Yes.
Argentina.
Peru.
Fuck!
So close. But you're on the right path. All right, finally, last donut. Similar to a churro, but it is a ringed donut.
Ooh.
They dust them with powdered sugar or dip them in chocolate glaze, and it is called rosquillas.
It sounds fucking awesome. So is it South America again?
No.
Okay.
It's Europe.
It's Europe.
Rosquillos.
So I'm going to say Spain.
It is Spain! There you go, baby. You're back.
I'm back! Jesus,
So
that
they take that churro dough and ring it like a donut.
Yeah, that sounds
We are
awesome.
used to here in America. Yeah, and nice and simple. A little bit of powdered sugar, a little bit of chocolate glaze. I mean, yeah, awesome.
Disneyland should start doing that. I'll go back. If you start turning your churros into donuts, I'll do it, Disneyland. I'll come back. I know how badly you need people to come into that park, so.
Wow, okay. What is that round the world place they have in Disney World? In Disney.
It's in Epcot. I know that.
Okay.
And I know it's like the World Pavilion or something.
Okay. Yes, we did go when you guys were much younger, younger, and it was awesome. And so Rosquillas needs to be on their menu, and when you find out about it, you're going.
Well, not Disney World. That's in Florida, and I don't want to go there.
Oh.
But Disneyland is known for, like, its churros. Like, everyone's like, oh, Disneyland has the best churros.
Oh.
So I'm like, okay, you got the best churros. Make them into a fucking donut. Get with it, guys.
Do the work.
Do the work, Disney.
Okay. So that wraps up show number 9 of the Midwest Donut Review. Fans, thanks for joining us again. I'm Dave in St. Louis. That is my son Eric in Sacramento. And We have a little bit of tag at the end of our shows.
Yes.
If you'll run us through that.
If you are watching on YouTube, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss an episode when we post them. Like the video, share the video with your friends and family and your children and anyone you feel.
Well, you think we're not really for the kids, generally.
I mean, if your kids are cool.
If your 5-year-old
is fucking cool,
is dope,
isn't a narc, then yeah. Let him see it. Let him listen.
But all he'll say is, Dad, all they do is disparage my favorite donut when they sprinkle shit on the top of it.
But that's the thing. If your 5-year-old is cool enough, he'll know that, like, yeah, I like sprinkles now because I'm 5. But when I grow up, I'm going to be done with that shit. That's how you know. That's how you know if your kid is cool enough.
Ever.
If you go to your kid and go, will you always love sprinkle donuts? And they say no, they're cool enough to listen to this podcast.
Man, okay. All right. We're opening up to a whole new audience. All right. So, everyone, thanks for joining us, Eric. I appreciate the time, and we'll see you next show. This has been the Midwest Donut Review from Dave, from Eric. Thanks for joining us.
Bye, everyone.